Now CNN is giving relationship advice for men? This can't be life. How many of you saw this expose that CNN did on the Manosphere? You guys got to check this one out. This is the most craziest thing that I've ever heard in my life.
This is Vera Papasova. She spent the last year dating far-right men in New York City for a story for Cosmopolitan magazine.
Stop it. Stop it, you. And stop it now. You went on dates. Multiple. Plural. More than one. In New York City. The bluest of the bluest. The leftist of the leftists. Mamdani's New York. Now, I know he wasn't the mayor at the time when this came out, but still. You're telling me you went on a bunch of... I don't believe you. You need more people.
They're the most insecure men I've ever sat down with. It was really difficult to have some of these dates because they were so insecure, because they don't really know who they are and they don't know how to figure that out.
She said the men she dated got all their news and information from the so-called Manosphere.
I'm going to just go ahead and say it, flat out. She is the perfect reason why the Manosphere is needed, required, and necessary. 100%.
They did not listen to anything else. They're only listening to independent media, and they're only listening to men talking to men.
The Manosphere.
Why wouldn't we? Why would men not listen to other men discuss topics that interest men? Is this not something women do themselves? When they get into their own book clubs and private clubs, they don't discuss men, the problems they're having with men and things of that nature. Am I losing my mind here?
Sphere is made up of macho podcasters and influencers.
There's no such thing as an independent female.
Most women have zero concept of like money.
Females don't have independent thought.
It's a space where
I mean, that's true, is it not? I mean, there is really no such thing as independency. In many ways, you have situations where, in particular environments, men would definitely have a higher survival rate opposed to women. But women that scream they are independent, that's a misnomer. Because if your job goes belly up and you go financially broke, you are no longer independent. I get what you're trying to imply, but that's a myth. The other thing is, the minute you start telling a man how independent you are, the more unattractive you become to that man. Women have held a referendum on men and what is deemed as good behavior stretching back at least 4 decades. However, things eventually revert to the mean. Until then, and they will revert to the mean, we men will hold these truths to be self-evident.
UFC fighters are among those who reign supreme.
They love the UFC guys. They love the MMA guys because those guys do what they can. They're modern gladiators. They're badass.
Women like this, it's talking into the void. Of course we like a bad. What guy have you ever met that said, woo, I can't wait to get around these soft dudes right here? No, all men want to be around hardcore guys. Even if they're not hardcore themselves, it's just something we enjoy. It's an innate feature stretching back into the times of the gladiator. We just love war Olympic sports. It makes us feel alive. We like to be able to see people do things we can't be able to do, or we would like to have the desire to do. It is what separates the alpha from the beta. Here's the thing about the beta. He still wants to be the alpha if he can help it. Even the sigma in many ways wants to be the alpha. I don't understand this concept. She is trying to make fun of the Manosphere, but she doesn't understand why she's actually still manning the position for why the Manosphere is relevant.
One of these guys brought me to a political meeting.
Oh, did he now?
And did they talk about politics?
Barely. They talked about, it was a bunch of men complaining about girlfriends and wives, regurgitating Andrew Tate type of.
What did you think we talk about when you're not around? Clarice? What are you gonna do? Go and tell your mommy? Why is this This is pure idiocy. It's idiocy.
Right.
Advice about how to train your girlfriend, how to train your wife to be submissive. And so this group was supposed to be a political group, but they're talking about relationship problems. And the fact that that's what most of the time was spent on.
What she doesn't understand, the reason why we do that, because we have been ousted from every proper normative outlet to actually discuss how we truly feel inside when it comes to our significant others or the opposite gender. She was probably expecting a bunch of high-level hatred, racist talk from these far-right wingers, and come to find out, it was normal conversations that men have been having for decades. The stuff that we just have a beer and spit in the bucket and talk about around the campfire. I don't understand why well, I do know why she's shocked by that. Because in her mind, she feels that that's not what we should be focused on and discussing. She, the woman, wants to be able to set the tone and pace of what is clarified as a proper man. She is passively being narcissistic as she's doing this expose. This also makes men look at CNN and go, WTF.
You need therapy.
The appeal of Jake's podcast speak.
Says who? Says you. We need therapy? That's not what we need. We need the ability to just simply be us, to be men. Now that classification no longer exists. At first, you could walk into the house and say, hey, look, guys, here's my wife. This is Becky Sue. This is my daughter. This is what I do for a living. Nowadays, you don't know because everything is about feelings. So men have felt so locked out of the equation. Men have been told from birth they are the second most important thing on the planet. Most men will protect you even when it hurts. Most men will protect you even when they have problems with you. Most men just simply want to be men. One of the highest things that allows a man to be a man is his ability to protect. And when you remove that equation, that's why you get those type of conversations around the bonfire. A lot of the disrespect nowadays towards men has become nothing different than just another Tuesday.
To a need among young men in this country that Vera says can't be ignored.
You have to incentivize someone to want to be better. You can't just say, let's make men better. The thing about
this is what I mean. A woman telling a man the proper way to be a man. I don't want to hear that from a woman. I want a man to show me the proper way to be a man. A lot of the issues that I discovered that I was doing incorrectly with the opposite gender, I did not find out until I was an adult. You know who had to explain that to me? Another man. Yeah. Let's stop walking around with this haughty, derisive attitude. This woman is doing a complete hit piece on men. The Manosphere is not something that doesn't serve its purpose. There are people in the Manosphere that I believe are tokens in the Manosphere, that I believe that actually hurt the Manosphere, that I believe that actually doesn't produce any proper results beyond the clicks and views that monetizes what they say in the Manosphere. I am not looking to train a woman. I am not looking to make a woman bend the knee. But what I do believe is when the patriarchy is displayed and done and practiced in the right, proper sense, the way God designed it, it will make things work out better for the family. It will make you have a better financial result. It'll lessen the likelihood that you will experience crime or that your children will experience crime. It will increase the likelihood that you'll live in a proper neighborhood and you'll have a proper upbringing. All of these things can be achieved if executed properly, if taught and done well within the Manosphere. We just need people in the Manosphere to stop acting as if they don't have any faults. Admit when you messed up. When you have a more humanistic nature about yourself, the Manosphere will have more people willing to listen. We don't need to hear every 2 seconds why women are the worst thing walking on the planet, because there are some men that have definitely done their own level of damage to women as well. That's another video for another day.
these guys is their biggest support system is online, but that also is very isolating, and isolation is what breeds hatred.
On that part, I get her point. Because the more isolated you can become resentful. People don't believe me when I say this, but the incel community is much higher than you'd expect in today's time. The standards that have been set upon men are so high that it's so stressful that men say, you know what? If I don't play, I don't lose. A lot of these men, they email me. And they talk to me about certain things because they don't want their name broadcasted in the comment section. A lot of these men are well-to-do, 6 foot plus, 6-pack abs, makes a great living, no kids, and they still can't find a wife. Sometimes it's not simply about leveling up, is the point I'm making in the Manosphere. There's more levels in the Manosphere that I believe the Manosphere should touch on.
People have to really think about, do you have the capacity to talk to people that you don't agree with? Because that one nice conversation you might have might change someone's day enough to not have to seek out help in an online support group.
Donny O'Sullivan is here with us now. Donny, I'm so glad you've done this special. There's so much intrigue around this issue of the Manosphere. And in fact, Trump is going to the UFC tonight. How big of a role does the sport play in the Manosphere?
And look, we should point out at the start here, there's tons of guys who are fans, and some women as well, who are fans of the UFC. I have many friends who are fans of the UFC.
Love the UFC.
It certainly does not mean, that if you are a fan of the UFC, you are falling sort of down this rabbit hole of hate and white supremacy and everything else. But what we are seeing is that there is this sort of, there is this crossover. The UFC is playing a greater and bigger role, really, in American life. Joe Rogan, who's the world's biggest podcaster, is a UFC commentator. Dana White, who is the founder of the UFC, is a prominent Trump supporter and was recently appointed to the board of Meta by Mark Zuckerberg himself, another big MMA and UFC.
A huge reason why many in the Manosphere are on the right and support Trump is not because they believe he's a great individual. He's more closer to how men truly feel in most of their hearts. How we want to be able to say what we want to say unapologetically. Even though he grew up around money, even Trump himself understood he was not allowed to be in the boys' club. This is why most wealthy people do not like Trump, because he's everything they're not. He is one of the peak visuals of what men support in the Manosphere, because he is the ideals of the Manosphere. That's why he garners so much support from so many on the right.
Fan. And actually fighting tonight in Miami. Trump is going to the event. We're not sure if he'll be there for the earlier fight.
Exactly. When have you ever seen a president attend a UFC event? Or, from my understanding, a boxing event? I know Trump is the very first president to attend a UFC event. How is that not base for most men? It tells men right away, I'm one of the boys. I'll sit and have a beer with you. This is the thing that men want to deal with on a day-to-day basis. They don't want all this fluff and all this BS being blown up their backside. They just want to be able to go out, achieve, make the best self-improvement of themselves, and figure out ways how to improve. You got to understand something. At least 25% or at least 10 million. 10 million. As of 2023, the youth have been raised in single-parent households. That doesn't sound like much when you say, well, there's over 350 plus million people in America. I'll go further. In the black household, 68% of men are raised by single women. This is why we have such an emotional outburst when we deal with social problems in everyday society that you do not see amongst other races. Let's be real and let's talk honestly here. One of the things the Manosphere does, it teaches us, if we work on our self-improvement, if we learn to understand how to take direction from men by men, we will stop being so emotional about these different things. This woman here that went on these dates with these far right-wing people, a lot of this is a reversed way of her attacking the right, trying to say, if you're on the right, they're just a bunch of extremists. This is why the manosphere still thrives. Even though a lot of people say the manosphere is dead, I believe a lot of the ideals need to shift in the manosphere to produce proper results.
But fighting tonight in Miami at the UFC event is a fighter by the name of Bryce Mitchell, who recently set up a podcast of his own, and on his debut episode a few months ago.
I'm going to stop it right here. I think you guys get the point. This is why CNN gets the criticism that it gets. It always pulls the trigger, metaphorically speaking, in Minecraft, too late. They had one expose they did on why men are single and they're not getting married and what's causing the deviation. And then they do a video like this, where the manosphere is problematic. It's harmful. It's something that should be avoided. No, the manosphere, I feel, needs to thrive. What we need to do in the manosphere is get the imposters out. The men who we know are BSing us, who's lying to us, who's telling us unrealistic things that you can't implement in real life. We need men that says, hey, yeah, I tried this. It didn't work. My bad. Correction. This is what you should do. Doesn't mean you just have to automatically bend the knee and become a simp. But this here, CNN, if you want to reach hold to men, this is not how you do it.